Hello and welcome back to the right hand. Um, we are Reuben Allen. We are law firm consultants. We're in a space where we help small law firms and solo attorneys. In particular, a lot of our clients are minority-led, women-led law firms. We help them grow, scale, stand out in the legal industry. As I said, my name is Greg Copeland, and today we're tackling, just a powerful strategy that can separate your firm and set them apart from the competition. And I go both ways on this, and that's creating a niche. Um, I say I go both ways on this because I do like the idea of a general practitioner, someone who touches upon various different things, criminal defense, family, estate planning, things like that. But that's not for everybody. Not all attorneys can handle that. And a lot of them make mistakes trying to handle that because you may be excellent at criminal defense, but maybe you're not so great at the estate planning part. So, and sometimes the problem can be that when you try to handle everything, try to do it all, you don't stand out in that niche. So specializing, one of the things specializing does is allows you to attract higher value clients, those who are looking for experts and not generalists, an expert estate planner, not someone who touches upon everything, an expert divorce attorney, not someone who touches upon everything, an expert criminal defense attorney, not someone who touches upon everything. What it also does, it reduces competition um, because fewer attorneys may be focused on that particular niche, and fewer may be focused on the estate planning or probate issue. And now what it also does, it allows you to charge higher fees because you have established yourself as an expert in that practice area. Um, all of those are you know, are benefits of creating a specialization. But here's the question: how do you pick the right one? Um, and once you do pick that right practice area, how do you market yourself as the go-to attorney in that space? I'm going to try to cover some of that today. Let's go. The first step is identifying the profitable specialization area, and choosing it is isn't just about what you like; it's about what's profitable, what's sustainable. Um, and I usually, you know, try to have clients focus on three key factors to consider when picking that specialization. Look at the market demand. Is there a strong need for this type of legal service? You know, always criminal defense, always a strong need for that. Divorce, family law, always a strong need for that. Estate planning, always a strong need for that. Uh, a lot of attorneys are getting into cybersecurity. There's a growing demand for that. So you have to make sure there's a strong need for that service and that specialization that you're going to pick. Um, and then there's the low competition versus high expertise uh, part of this. Are there fewer attorneys that specialize in the area? Why is that? Is there less competition? One where you can rise above others and establish yourself as an expert in that area? Those are the things that you have to look at: competition versus expertise. How good is your expertise as compared to the amount of competition that's out there? And third, you want to look at the profitability. Does it attract clients who can afford to pay? You know, let me give you an example of this. A few years ago, I worked with an attorney who had they were struggling to compete in personal injury. The market was oversaturated in the city that person was in, the area, and they were spending thousands on marketing, very little return. After some research, what we did, we realized that uh, nursing home abuse cases were a growing area at that time in his area, in his city, in his county, but very few firms had specialized in it at the time. So what that attorney did was rebranded the firm to focus exclusively on nursing home abuse cases. built a website around it, and basically just marketed towards that and began to generate more high value cases than ever. So how do you find your niche? Start by asking yourself, what types of cases do I enjoy handling the most? That also is a factor, even though I said just don't pick what you enjoy, but you still have to enjoy doing it in some capacity. Um, where have I already seen success? You know, does this work? Has it worked? Will it be able to work for me? Are there underserved markets in my area? Just like the nursing home abuse cases. Is there an area that's kind of being pushed to the side by other attorneys where you can step in and create that market value? Are the legal trends or the new laws coming creating opportunities? A lot of immigration attorneys are talking about this with the climate, a lot of different paths and avenues to immigration law and how their practices are shaping out, reshaping, you know, what are the trends creating this? Once you identify, this specialist, the specialization that you want to go into, the next step is making sure people know that you're there. You're here for this. You have to establish authority in that practice area. Once you've chosen a niche, you need to position yourself as the go-to expert in that space. Here are some tips on how. They're not the only ways, just some ways that you can establish yourself as the go-to expert. Create the practice area focused content. Write blogs, make videos, create LinkedIn posts. Um, Create these that answer common questions in your practice area. If you focus on business immigration, put out content, how to get a E2 visa in 2025, or 5 common mistakes, startups make with H-1B sponsorships, things like that. Create that specialization focused content. Build a website that reflects your specialization, whether you add on to your current website, you build a separate website. Just don't list it as one of your practice areas. Make it your primary focus. Your homepage, case studies, testimonials. These should all, kind of reinforce your expertise in one area. Try to speak and teach. Speaking engagements, teaching, no matter the crowd. You can always record it, put it on YouTube, things like that. Offer to speak at industry events, legal panels, local business groups. Any and everybody who'll hear you, like a stand-up comedian, when they come up through the ranks. School cafeteria, I don't know. Teaching a CLE, hosting a webinar, also instantly boosts your credibility. And then what you want to do is also network with referral partners. And a lot of attorneys overlook this, but referrals from other lawyers can be gold. If you're a construction law attorney, connect with real estate lawyers. Connect with someone who has parallel practices, who with synergy, who can send you referrals when their clients have disputes. One of the best strategies I've seen, a workers' comp attorney that I started working with, started writing LinkedIn posts, breaking down, new regulations before the big firms did. Within months, that person was the go-to for workers' comp cases in the area they were. Just being the first to educate your audience puts you ahead of the competition. Now you figured it out. You're trying to establish yourself as an expert. You have to market the practice area. You have to market effectively. How do you do that? Good old fashioned. I've talked about this before. Marketing your small firm as a solo attorney, small law firm. Targeted SEO, Google ads. If you specialize in trademark law for small businesses, your website should have the keywords, optimizes for searches like trademark lawyer for startups, best attorney for trademark registration. Instead of running, the expensive Google ads for business lawyer, focus on, high intent practice area specific searches. Use the case studies and testimonials. Nothing builds, credibility faster than real success stories from your clients. If you're a probate litigation attorney, for example, create a case study titled how we help the Booker family recover from their rightful inheritance. Recover, I'm sorry, recover, not recover from, but recover their rightful inheritance. Um, what this does, the case studies builds trust, builds familiarity, and attracts similar clients. You can join the practice specific groups and associations, sports law, criminal law, online forums and groups, LinkedIn forums, local associations where, if you're in sports law, where athletes and agents gather. Being in the right circles leads to direct referrals. So try to put yourself in those right circles, those right spaces. Also, don't be afraid to offer free resources. There's a lot of bankruptcy attorneys that I work with that create free downloadable content, things you must do before filing bankruptcy. Use it as a lead magnet on your website. One of my clients, he started doing this, brings them dozens of quality leads every month. So, the formula is simple. Make your specialization clear everywhere, website, content, networking, provide value with, free education and case studies, use practice specific SEO and ads to bring in clients. If you do this consistently, your firm will take off. In conclusion, choosing a niche that has market demand, strong profitability. Establish your authority through content, networking, thought leadership. Market your practice effectively and efficiently. SEO ads, case studies, free resources. The most successful small law firms aren't the ones who do everything. They're the ones that do some things or a few things exceptionally well. And when I say a few things, I mean not they only do a few things exceptionally well and the rest is garbage. I mean they focus on those few things, do them exceptionally well, and bring in clients. And if you're struggling, to choose your market, your niche, what we're going to do is we're going to put together a free worksheet. The law firm practice finder walks you through the exact process to identify and market a profitable niche. Download it at our website. We'll put it on the link of the podcast. You know, as always, if you found this, helpful, subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, share it with your colleagues. Hey, you can even book a free exploratory call and we'll talk it over. Thank you for tuning in to The Right Hand. See you next time. Goodbye.